So first things first, Marius, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
That's very good to hear. Before we get into the album, I'd like to jump back to the beginning a little bit now.
Yeah.
I read you were giving a drum set when you were very young, yet you picked up bass and guitar. So what happened?
Yeah, I guess I always had a huge interest for music. I mean, I'm 40 years now, and when I was a kid, those were the heroes for us. I don't know if it's influencers or YouTubers today that are heroes to our kids, but let's hope not. No, but anyways, I guess my father and my mother picked up that I was very interested in music. And yeah, I just remember very well that one day my father came home and he had a drum set in the back seat, and that was a huge day for me. So I started like banging on the drums right away, and yeah, then just moved a little bit on to other instruments, bass and guitar and stuff like that. Eventually ended up playing the guitar as the lead instrument, and vocals as well later, because nobody else wanted to sing in the band. So,
Well,
so yeah,
you mentioned something interesting, which is playing in a band, and I suppose I think around 15, 16, that's when you kind of started to write songs and form a
yeah,
band.
yeah,
I know the population in the Faroe Islands is quite small, so were there opportunities to play to kind of get that exposure and experience?
yeah. We were very lucky actually, because when there are not when you are that age, there are not a lots of opportunities for
Mm.
bands that haven't played live. But we entered a competition called Pop Top or something like that. It was very This is way back, and we ended up winning that competition, which was huge for us. And then we as an award for this, we got to play on a bigger stage, and then
Mm.
basically people found out, okay, and got interested. And I think it was later that year or the year after that we were in something called Pre-Furrier, uh,
Mm.
and we also got to the finals there. And so that was like my in, and this was all recorded. The final was recorded and then sent on the national radio. And
Okay.
one of the songs that we play actually became a hit in the Faroe Islands, and was played like on the charts, was number
Mm.
one on the charts for, I don't know, 4 or 6 weeks or something like that, which was crazy. And we were like still going to school. We were 16 years old, so for us it was like it was huge for us. We were like, yes, this is what we're supposed to do. And yeah, I mean, we were four guys, and two of us ended up playing music the rest of our life, or still play music today. So yeah.
What was the dream at that point? Because you did sing in English, or was it later?
Yeah, we were very, like probably the rest of the world, very influenced by MTV.
Mm.
MTV was the big thing back then. This is the 90s. And yeah, we basically wanted to sound like the bands we were listening to back then. And that was everything from Nirvana to Green Day to, the typical stuff you heard
Sure.
back in the day. Yeah.
And for you then, because well, that was when you were quite young, and then when did you find the path that you are kind of still on now, where you kind of found your own avenue to go down?
Yeah, the thing just kept growing. I mean, you as you get older, you also develop as a. I definitely didn't want to quit music, so I just kept like learning more stuff. I went to a music school in
Yeah.
Denmark, and yeah, just started playing more advanced music, going a little bit from the pop rock to some other stuff. Started playing a little bit more folky stuff, and but I've always been like mainly a songwriter. That is my thing. I just can't stop writing songs, and I'm always curious about the next thing. What's the next thing gonna be? And also very much enjoy the process of making albums and being in the studio. And I think the urge to create is the big thing for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you have I don't know if this is a good question, but do you have kind of like a philosophy on songwriting or a certain approach? Because, well, one thing you just mentioned to kind of evolve, I suppose, every time you do an album or a project. But do you have a certain philosophy on what makes a good song?
Not really. I mean, it's very abstract. I think if you start studying songwriting, you definitely want to break the rules all the time. So it for me, everything comes down to how it feels in the end, which is a very simple answer, but I think it's ultimately that, because a song is supposed to be a verse and a chorus and a bridge and blah blah blah, all that stuff. But some of the best songs ever created are not like that. So
Sure.
I don't really have a philosophy on anything. It's all about, comes down to how it feels in the end.
And what, in a sense, do you, I don't know, get back from songwriting? You mentioned kind of the need to create. So can you explain that a little bit more? What is that? Is that just making something out of nothing, or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just to me it feels like, I mean, if I haven't done anything in a week or two, I actually begin to feel like, wow, I'm not good at anything, or it's not a good feeling.
Sure.
Not creating anything. But the feeling of creating something that wasn't there before is a huge one. And also going to work maybe in the morning and going home in the afternoon and have done something good is a very good feeling. And but there are definitely also days when you just don't do anything good, and it's a part of the process as well. But yeah, that is it's just a good thing, and I think it's very important for me and for probably all other people to feel like you're doing something that that is good. At least to you, it's good. Yeah.
When did you? Because as a songwriter, you develop, and this is album number 5, if I'm not mistaken. When did you find? Now I'm going to butcher a lot of names, but Hans.
That's no problem.
Kollslíð.
Yeah. Hans Jacob Kollslíð. That's cool. Yeah.
Kollslíð. When did you find him, and was that kind of the slow transition to singing in Faroe in your own language?
Yeah, I mean, me and Hans Jacob, we met way back. I think this is early 2000 or something like that, which is now 23 years ago. And I think we met at a friend's house, and he had been abroad at that time. He had actually been in Thailand, where he played in a kind of a huge band there. And he was like, he came back to the Faroe Islands, and we were very impressed that he had been like in another country and been signed by BMI or some huge label. And so I was by then I was already seeking out people to work with. Lyrics were always a thing for me. I mean, I can write lyrics, but I was always, somebody's better at this than I am. And I write a lot of melodies all the time, and I enjoy working with people on ideas and lyrics. Sure. So we had a conversation about this and just started slowly. And we made, he already then wrote a couple of songs in English on the first album, which was released in 2004 or 2005, I can't remember right now. And then it just grew slowly. We started working more and more together, and 2015 was when we started Faroese, and that was actually more or less just a coincidence. I had written the song called Nærveran, or the melody for Nærveran, and I just felt like this sounds like a Faroese song to me. Let's try to do this in Faroese. just for fun, and we did that, and we're very happy with the results, and actually it became like a huge Faroese song. People here really sing along to it, enjoy it, and so that was like the beginning of it. And yeah, it's been a journey making Faroese songs, because he's a very poetic man. He writes a lot, and he's very good at writing, and his lyrics have very layered meanings, so it has a lot of content to it, and they're actually very beautiful. So it's a pleasure for me to sing his Faroese lyrics.
Yeah, we'll get maybe into a couple of those lyrics on the new album then later. But this transition to Faroese songs, because you have the album Home Heim in 2015, which was kind of half and half, and then you kind of transitioned to fully Faroese. Was there any thought process behind that, or was that just it felt natural, so let's do it?
It definitely felt, when we had written the first Faroese song, which was this song Nerian, that we could feel that it translates in a more honest way, because you're singing in your own language. And we could definitely also, it was interesting. For once, this was very interesting, because singing in your second or third or whatever English is language is, it's hard not to repeat stuff that has been done 1,000 times before. And now you have a Faroese language, and you can basically say things that you haven't said before in many beautiful ways. So when we first had written the Faroese song, it was kind of hard going back to English, although we are still working on English stuff.
Okay.
But and then we decided to make the whole album Porter in Faroese, and this next one.
Yeah, because there's and this is kind of I've seen the transitions in the musical landscape, where these days I think, even though your market, I'm from the Netherlands, and we have Dutch bands who sing in Dutch or English, and so if they decide to sing in Dutch, obviously their market is a little bit smaller. But it seems that over the past couple of years, that language doesn't matter as much perhaps as it used to, where there's a lot of bands from different, and people can't understand the lyrics, but they still enjoy the songs. Have you kind of noticed that as well?
Yeah, actually, I've noticed it a lot, and it's been a thing, a huge topic that we are talking a lot about, also as with other bands that do the same and tour the world and sing in Faroese. How important is, what is it a good or a bad thing? Are people not gonna hear this because we sing in Faroese, or? And but I remember having this conversation with one of my friends in the band. He also plays with another band with a huge artist here in Faroe Islands called Iver.
Yeah, I know.
And she sings a lot in Faroese as well. And then he told me that they did this experiment on tour, that they asked the audience, do you want to hear this song in Faroese or in English? And this is Germany, and she also played a lot in Holland as well. And every single time they were like, Faroese. And Siguros and Icelandic bands, they sing in their own language, nobody minds. So I think it is a very interesting thing. But still today, radio and TV and people that are promoting music are very like soon to somebody is like, we don't understand the language, right. But I think we're moving in the right direction. But yeah, it's hard to say what's the right thing to do. I'm definitely still gonna do some stuff in English, and but I admit that it's kind of hard to write really good lyrics in English.
No, but I think you're right in saying that it's changing, and that it's more about kind of the feeling and the experience than specific understanding words. And then you mentioned Ivor. She makes very yeah, how would you call it, visceral music. It touches your
Yeah,
soul. So
yeah.
it's not important exactly what she's saying, but just that you feel what she's trying to convey, I think. And yeah, Sigur Rós is a good example. You have certain metal bands that sing in their native language. So
Yeah,
there is a rising, and radio will never play any of that. So radio will always do kind of
yeah.
their own thing anyway. So
They'll
I
stick to
wouldn't worry
their,
about, too
yeah.
much about that.
No, no, no.
No, but if we move then towards kind of how do I pronounce it? Room,
Room.
room.
And it's, yeah, and that's the same as room.
So because well, one thing, when we talked about creativity, obviously we had 2 years where creativity was kind of at a standstill, in almost where people were locked in indoors, not very
Mhm.
inspired to create. So was this kind of, and since the album is called Room, is that where the title comes from?
Uh, no, actually, to be perfectly honest, the room title comes from. I mean, that is Hans Jacob Kollslíð that has written the lyrics, and yeah, if you ask him, it might come from there. But I think that's the title comes from his lyrics and what he sees in the whole the lyric content.
Mm.
So yeah, it might be, but the lyrics mainly come from the title of the album comes from the content of the lyrics. Yeah.
The musical evolution from where you started as a kind of a solo artist, well, you obviously play with people, but to kind of the more textured soundscapes that you create now with strings and everything,
Yeah.
electronic elements. So how did you kind of evolve musically?
Yeah, that's I think it's just I mean, it's a natural thing that happens. I mean, when you have done something for a while, you naturally just move on to the next thing. And for me, it's been like a journey. I mean, if you listen to Home, the album from 15, it's very much the band live playing hands-on instruments in the studio, not many electronic elements. But I basically have an idea in my head that I try to put down to on record, and whatever it takes. I mean, if it takes some electronic elements or whatever it takes. And I mean, on this album, we had Rob Moose on strings, which was
Right.
very fortunate. It's just progress, I think, and kind of just going crazy with all the stuff you hear in your head and try to get that down. Yeah.
And also, I suppose, not wanting to repeat yourself as well.
Yeah. But I don't I think it'd be hard to repeat myself, because once I'm done with something, I'm basically I've already moved kind of I'm already doing stuff. I mean, demo stuff of the next thing that's going to happen. So that's what keeps me going. I think.
Where do you draw if inspiration from then? Can it be other types of music? Is it the environment? I always ask it when people come from very, very beautiful places in the world. So
Yeah,
what is
yeah,
it?
yeah. That's also a question that I've been asked many times, and I think it's kind of
Right.
hard to say exactly what it is, but it has a lot to do with just yeah, other kinds of music. I mean, when I listen to music and I hear something that I really like, I get inspired, and I mean, I feel like creating something when I hear something good. And I also think that sometimes when we're rehearsing with the band or something like that, we're just standing there. I mean, ideas can come out of the blue when you're standing there and just. I mean, and I also think that the environment definitely inspires you. If you don't know it, if you know it or not, it definitely has an impact on you.
Sure.
And so yeah, I think it comes from everywhere. Yeah.
let's test then a little bit how good Google Translate and Icelandic, how close that is to Faroese.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the song that really stood out to me, or that I suppose was my favorite, is Skuggaspæl.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's what, and I got back.
Skuggaspæl.
Skuggaspæl.
Yes.
And I got back shadow panel. I don't know if
Yeah.
that means anything, but is
It's
shadow the right direction?
yes, shadow is right, and it's actually shadow play. Spell is play. Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense. I mean, spell that's in Dutch is play.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. The Dutch and Faroese is very similar in many
Okay.
ways. Yeah.
Okay.
It's very strange actually when I hear Dutch. It's like, whoa, it sounded like Faroese for a small.
Yeah,
That's
you can
very.
pick up things.
Yeah, totally.
But so that song. Let's start with the music first, because I like kind of it has this atmosphere, and then it builds into this something bombastic. So
Mhm.
what was the approach, I suppose, with the music?
I remember doing that demo, and for me, it usually starts on the guitar, and I had that theme that's going through. I play a lot of the melodies that I hear that I end up singing. I usually start playing those on guitar while I strum the chords, and it was that, and it's going in three, so it's like da da da, and there was something strong to that, and I just developed that, made a demo of it, and I had it had this kind of wildness to it. I remember calling it on my computer. The work title was Indian, because I saw some Indians running around, and it had this wildness to it that I just really liked, and then basically made a demo of the song. And then I remember me going, we went to the studio with my band, and everybody liked the song, and we tracked it as a whole band in the studio. And Hans Ziska, who's the guitar player and also has a lot of electronics in the band, he created this. He actually created these ambient textures that the song start with, and that's actually wind that he has recorded on a small recorder. Wind going through trees. Kind of sounds like rain, but it's not supposed to sound like rain. That is actually wind going through trees, which he sampled and used for this. So we made our own like ambient song structures in that song, and then it was just a matter of getting the right form. And Magnus, who plays keyboards and piano in the band, he's an arranger as well, so he arranged some strings for it as well. So yeah, everybody has worked on it in one way or another.
So it's very much a collective process, the way I hear it, from the lyrics up to the music. Everything is kind of a collective thing.
Yeah, when it comes down to definitely this song, it varies a lot.
Okay.
But definitely this song was very hands-on and collective. Yeah, because this was also recorded in a huge big studio here in Tórshavn, Block Studio, and this was very much a band thing. This song.
And then because we kind of mentioned the lyrics, and we don't we can take Shadow Play if we want, but also a different song if you like. But how do you kind of find the right lyrics for the right music? Because do you have discussions with Hans then about certain like life topics, about existential things, and then kind of find a way to get them into the song?
Yeah, I think sometimes we talk about some things, but I definitely am not. I'm not like saying to him, we're going to write a song about this, and I don't want to limit him. Actually, it's a very open process that I write songs, usually on my guitar, and if I find a melody that I really like, I will do like almost all the other songwriters do. They sing gibberish over the melody, record it somehow on my phone, or I do a I mean, sometimes I build a demo and I make like a really finished thing, and then I just sing over it something and send it to him, and he writes on it for days sometimes, and comes back with a really nice lyric. And it I really give him the he decides 100% what he writes about, because I believe that we will get the best results that way. And that seems to work out very fine. And the lyrics are definitely almost every time very existential.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, well, because that would be my question, because obviously, and I always go into the lyrics whenever especially with certain songwriters and stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, this time that was a lot more difficult for me. So
yeah,
can you kind of give me a sense of kind of the overarching theme on the album then?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of hard to. The theme is basically big questions about the existentiality. That's a huge one that goes back all the time. And also, I mean, Suchan Luchun, the first song from the album, is also kind of about that, but also kind of a song about loss and going through hard times. So there are layers through the song. It can be about the existential things, about these big questions. What is the meaning of it all? But still, there could be a small, like a love story in there, or there could be like a way to go through tough times, or like a way to process fear, or and I think that it has so many layers in there. A lot of people can connect to it and feel, I kind of felt that way. And existentiality, going through fear, going through phases of life, trying to seek out what is darkness without light, what is light without darkness, stuff like this, But he would be very good at explaining this.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, but it kind of goes back to what we mentioned earlier as well, because obviously there's the meaning in the lyrics, but there's also an atmosphere you create with the music, and a lot of people can sense that and take away from that whatever they like as well.
Yes.
So final question then. We talked a little bit about kind of the being from the Faroe Islands, and what is your ambition, so to say? Because I mean, I can imagine being very content with just playing in the Faroe Island, and just if you can make a living out of it, that would be perfect, I suppose. But do you have certain grander plans, or how do you perceive what you do?
Yeah, I mean, the ambition has always been to play more outside Faroe Islands.
Okay.
Simply because of the size of the Faroe Islands, that you can't actually just play the Faroe Islands. You have to play other places as well. I mean, it would be really nice if this country was like 7 times bigger. But that's not.
It wouldn't be as beautiful, I think, anymore.
No, that's the thing. Yeah. But we have been fortunate in many ways, or I have been fortunate that I've been on support tours with Ivor. I've been and I also played a lot in Denmark, in Germany, and I also have some dates. And so that is I'm just trying to all the time to extend the possibilities to play other countries as well, because I kind of need to. But I definitely play a lot in the Faroe Islands to all kinds of stuff. I mean, there are festivals, there are concerts. I play as much as I can in the Faroe Islands, because because I really want to do this all the time and not do other stuff. And I've been living off playing music for past 10 years. Yeah.
No, but I mean that alone, I think is success, right?
For me, it is. Yeah, yeah. But I have many hats. I work a lot in the studio.
Okay.
And I play to. Sometimes I play with a duo, or I play with a trio. Sometimes with the whole band. And we got a huge opportunity right now to play with the Faroese Symphony Orchestra.
Okay.
And that was a huge experience. We played 3 sold-out concerts with the Faroese Symphony Orchestra, and there were 800 people at each show, which is about 5% of the Faroese population. So that was a huge one. So a lot of good things have been happening lately, and that would also be released on TV and stuff like that. So
it's very good to hear, and hopefully you'll come to the Netherlands and play at some point as well. So
yeah, I hope so. We have some dates in Denmark in May, and I mean, made it so far, but yeah, that would be really nice. Yeah.
Marius, may I thank you for your time?
Likewise, thank you, man. It's been
thank you
a
so much.
Pleasure, man. Thank you.